This is what my very expensive U47 clone tube mic sounds like. And this is what the microphone on my iPhone sounds like. And for good measure, this is what the microphone on top of my camera sounds like. However, it does have this little windscreen on it. This is what it sounds like without. It just lives on there, but we'll take it off. I can't hear it right now, but I'm going to assume that the U47 sounds the best. However, I cannot seem to fit it in my pocket. I believe that this device, the smartphone, in my case an iPhone, will lead to the destruction of society if it has not done so already. I am in awe of all of you dumb phone people out there who have made the switch, but I just can't do it. A smartphone of some kind will live in my front left pocket for the foreseeable future, so I am very determined to put it to use in a way that will actually help me. My friend Chris and I are going to show you how we use the iPhone in a creative musical context, but I also want to show you how I use the Voice Memo app plus a little artificial intelligence to make this video. I promise I'm not exaggerating when I say that this might be the most important microphone I use on a daily basis. Let's start with the title of the video. The most important microphone I own. A little clickbaity, but it's YouTube, it's the game we're playing, so forgive me, people. The idea is that these phones are terrible for us, but they can be used as creative tools. When I went to Minnesota to meet with my friend who made the Elshkavan toolkit, we went to Duluth, Minnesota with plans to record the sounds of the lake and bridge and rocks and make a tune out of it. Well, he forgot his handheld recorder, so all we had was the iPhone, and it turned out great. And that's going to be probably the main idea of this video. However, I need to keep people watching. Oh. Okay. So I need to work in the driving footage to get us from the opening scene to Duluth. So there's plenty of that. Chris and I talking. Where am I?
Minnesota.
And who are you?
I'm Chris.
It's Chris.
Hi.
Put a song there to make it work.
Minnesota, across the bridge there. We just drove there a few minutes ago. On the other side is Wisconsin, Superior, Wisconsin. That's Lake Superior, largest freshwater lake in the world, I believe. What did you say yesterday when you asked what it was called? I said Lake Superior, and you said...
It's quite arrogant.
It's quite arrogant. It's a claim.
The footage will do a better job of describing the city than I can. And then I think we'll just play another tune as we drive around. Yeah. So we're on to scene 3 now. This can be where Chris is kind of talking about the found sounds that he made for his album Origin. But this is also where he reveals to me that he forgot the handheld recorder.
You know what?
What?
I forgot to bring my Zoom recorder and drumstick, so that's okay. We'll just
That's fine.
Yeah.
Which actually makes this whole video work because now we have to use the iPhone.
I came up here for a day with a friend, recorded a ton of sounds, on the bridge there. We took drumsticks and would hit things. We would throw rocks on the shore onto each other and record all the sounds. So a lot of percussive impact sounds. Oh, yeah. So that's the big rocks. But I mean, think of that as a cool organic snare sound, right? Oh. Or pitch it down and think of that, John. Think of that. There we go. Waves. Okay, so that's the waves on their own. Just cutting out the woofy low end, of course. What I like to do sometimes is some sort of amp modeler. Now I'm just trying to come up with some sort of movement with it, pulse behind it using just plugins. So it almost makes it like a hi-hat feel, maybe? Like that. It's fun because stuff like that, it's just gives it this unique touch, real life things on a lake, or it could be just outside. So it could be recordings of stuff around the house. It gives it some life.
Okay, we're on to scene 4. And the plan here was to walk and talk and do an interview of sorts. But between me not being able to set up a shot.
Do you get to mix those in post?
Yeah, I can split them up.
Mine is twisting, so maybe I should see how it does it. Mine's naturally doing this.
It being way too loud. My battery dying.
Oh, man.
This battery's dying. Shoot. I gave up on that idea and we just walked to the bridge. And when we got to the bridge, that's when we heard the cars.
Now you can hear it.
And I think that Chris described this well enough that we don't have to use anything from me and just use his audio. There is no concrete.
It's not a road.
It is.
It's a metal cage that you drive over, essentially. Every car has like a different pitch. So the minivan was like higher pitched than the truck, for example. So it must vary by weight, I would think. It's so interesting. You could make a whole instrument, John. The Duluth Aerial Bridge Synthesizer.
Quite a shame that we're not doing that.
Well,
yeah, there you go. Voice memo it. I'll be quiet.
high quality recording. The cars. The Duluth Bridge cars. I don't know. What can we do with that?
That's a major second.
I threw it in the Logic sampler. It's really noisy, messy, but there's a little bit of tonal quality to it. And then I played those parts, just a simple progression. Then I copied the MIDI from that to a different just synth pad that I created from the Elskavan stuff. That's just the synth on its own, synth pad thing. Same MIDI, same progression as that. And the beat is just using clips from the, throwing the stones up in the air. I'm just winging it, John. Winging it.
I love it. Bye, babe.
Bye, babe. I love you.
Love you too. I think we're on scene 6 now. And this is when we go on a walk to the lighthouse. And I think this is the best time to talk more about the Elskavan toolkit because he's already talking about his philosophy of sampling. So it seems like a good segue. So this is not cold, correct?
Not for February in Duluth. The temp says 50 today.
It is not 50 degrees.
No,
I know 50.
It's windy, but it could be a lot colder.
Let's walk faster. Say somebody's watching this video and they are scared of synthesizers, meaning they're orchestral writers, they're folk, record drums, guitars, but they never really got into synths beyond presets on the plugins that we all have. What do you suggest a person does to get into that type of world? Because it's overwhelming.
Something that I've been thinking about lately with getting a little bit more into sampling is like the marriage between organic instrumentation and electronic instrumentation and kind of like blurring those lines a lot more. Taking a piano note or piano pluck or a guitar string pluck, very organic leaning thing that we think about, and throwing it in a sampler. Even phones nowadays, different sounds, different sound sources, but they can live in the same world together. It's kind of my like weird side angle route of like very simplistic sampling to start, and that will help you like, okay, you can put a filter on anything.
Now we're getting to the heart of the video. We've shown what the iPhone can do, and as we're leaving, I want to make sure that I feature this conversation I had with Chris where he's talking about how important it is to get outdoors and to meet up with friends and what that does for his creativity.
So I was in a bit of like a creative funk. The work days were a little tough, just feeling motivated or inspired or whatever. But it's stuff like this where it's just like, you traveled here, creative days with friends, doing something out of the routine, out of the ordinary, like driving 2 hours north to Duluth in the cold. It's always such a good idea to get out of the routine once in a while just speaking for myself, whether it's like fully a creative work day or just kind of like partial, or even just like stepping away from the productivity of the work. Always brings me kind of back to like being inspired again and like finding some inspiration for a project or creativity or something like that.
somehow I need to communicate how I'm organizing all of these voice memos. So I take them from voice memo and I put them in a Dropbox folder, which gets them into Notion. Austin, what's that software that you set up that gets it from the voice memo Dropbox app folder into Notion?
Pipe Dream.
Talk loud. It's loud.
Pipe Dream.
What is Pipe Dream?
It's something that lets websites talk to each other.
Okay. Doesn't it do some kind of AI stuff along the way?
It just has ChatGPT summarize stuff.
Then I need to show everybody how inside of Notion, there's a template that takes all this information and gives me a transcript, a summary, and bullet points. And I pay for the AI inside of Notion so I can take that information and manipulate it in all kinds of ways. Do you remember where we got this from? Thomas Frank.
Thomas Frank.
We stole everything from Thomas, correct?
Yes, we did practically nothing. He did all the code and everything. His video's gonna be linked down below if my dad remembers to do his job.
I'll cut that part out. I cannot believe the level of disrespect that my children show me on a daily basis. But I have free IT support, 24 hours, about 18 feet from the studio. Austin!
Coming.
Just so you know, I am talking directly to you right now. All those other times, somebody was just filming me. I just finished a long Saturday morning walk. I have not put my face on yet. Full disclosure, on my way to Chick-fil-A once more. Not sponsored. On my walks, I load up my favorite playlist. This morning it was Vince Gill. I'm on a guitar thing. I try not to think about much of anything for the first 10 or 15 minutes, just walk and listen. But it never fails. About 10 or 15 minutes in, I have some kind of light bulb moment about something, and I spend the next 10 or 15 minutes thinking that idea through. I turn off all the music, and I dump all of my thoughts into a voice memo. When I get home, I have that voice memo in my Dropbox, transcribed and summarized, all in Notion. Another place I have big ideas is when I'm driving, like this. Basically, my best ideas come when I'm not buried in my phone. I know this is all a little messed up, using my phone to try to get away from my phone, but I really look forward to my walks, even on 102-degree July summer days in Texas. I love the track that Chris wrote, and I kind of feel like a co-writer because I followed him around with the camera the whole day. I've asked him to make a video breaking down how he wrote that track. It should be up on the Somerville Sounds YouTube by the time you watch this video. I'm waiting in line here at Chick-fil-A, so I'll look at the camera directly. We are required to store far more information in this modern digital world than we should or even possibly can. So by having this app, I can put my thoughts down and push them aside and then go back to them later. So for the time being, my iPhone lives in my front left pocket. The Elskavan Toolkit is available for the free contact player. Go watch the walkthrough here.